He's a man who's seen as an important interlocutor between his party, which is an alliance partner of the Congress within the UPA. In fact, it's not been a smooth sailing and there have been hiccups between the NCP and the Congress in the alliance of the UPA, and the man has been somebody at the forefront taking the issue from his Supremo to the Congress party. Praful Patel, the man who was high-flying civil aviation minister and is now in charge of the heavy industries portfolio, has been an important constituent of the UPA. He is somebody we'd like to ask on how it is doing business with a party as dominant as the Congress party. He's been in number 2 to NCP chief Sharad Pawar for years in Delhi's power circuit. Praful Patel is seen as the interlocutor between the Congress and the NCP. Often seen as the man telling the Congress kuch to karo whenever there is a need for coordination in the coalition. The articulate lieutenant to Sharad Pawar. His office is on standby as they await the minister's entry into the office. But everybody knows that when he comes in, it will be a private moment or two before he goes into his room and actually does a puja before he picks up the pen and gets ready for the agenda of the day. Minutes after his arrival into his office, we are ready to shoot off questions to Praful Patel. UPA 1, for its record, was looked at a government that gave this country the Indo-US nuclear deal, which was forward-looking. UPA 2 somewhere has got stuck in the clouds of 2G, Colgate, CWG and various other scams. Do you think the 2014 elections are going to be a defensive election for UPA and its partners?
One thing we have to admit that 10 years of a government does have its own advantages and of course a reason for the opposition and others to target the government. Well, there are two sides obviously, but one thing is certain that the cumulative growth of UPA 1 was substantial, and that really gave us the the advantage in the elections, and we came back as UPA 2. UPA 2 started on I would say a chaotic note. There were lots of issues, and I must admit, while I'm part of the government, that some of the issues we created were from within. I mean, the overzealousness.
For example?
Yeah, the overzealousness, say, on the environment front, the overzealousness to, put so many things, in a perspective of the approach more driven by, activism. I think there were some people in our government, I don't want to name them, but they could have...
You're obviously hinting at Jairam Ramesh.
No, I'm not only hinting at Jairam. There are a number of people. I'm not saying that they did disservice, but at the same time, the momentum or the kind of, the growth which was experienced in UPA 1, it came to a kind of a slowdown or almost a halt on many fronts. And of course, then it went on to the unfortunate incident of the 2G issue. And unfortunately, as I said, activism of various kinds, within and outside, also took over. And as a result of which the government from day one became slightly on the defensive. And there is no solution for India's poverty or India's development unless and until there is economic development. And that, unfortunately, in UPA 2, for various reasons, and as I said, activism slightly...
Where does the fault rest?
Well, the fault, I think, is cumulative. I think, you see the overarching issues, like even RTI. I'm saying something which may not be very palatable to many people, but the fact is that RTI should have come with its riders. RTI came unlimited, unleashed, all, forces to ask any questions from the government. And as a result of which, whether it's the bureaucracy, the administrative, executive, everybody started,
So you're saying RTI has been an impediment to growth?
No, I did not say RTI is an impediment to growth, but RTI came for the first time and it unleashed its, the overall potential. And I think it should have come with slightly more riders. And I think this is a view within even government. Many sections do say it. Some may be not saying it publicly. I'm willing to say it publicly.
International agencies like Goldman Sachs, Standard & Poor's saying that we are waiting for the next government really before we see any change in policy, decisions, growth prospects for India. They've virtually given up on UPA 2.
Whether it's this or that government, I don't think at least India should take a certificate from Goldman Sachs, or for that matter any agency. I think it's being played up a bit too much about this government or that. Today it's still almost 5 to 6 months away from the next general election, and we are, I think, reading a bit too much. Let's await the results of the state elections.
Do you think the kind of results that are being spoken about, a 3-1 or a 4-0, if it is in favor of the BJP, it will mean an indictment of the UPA government?
It's not an indictment of the government per se, but it's a political. You see, there are always two sides of the coin, and even as far as the government is concerned, one is the political handling of a situation and one is the administrative side of the government. And I think certainly people of the country, when they vote, even for a state election, and which is so close to a national election, and which is, you know, hyped up by all sections and the media especially, I think there will be an influence on the voter's mind to some extent, and therefore I think, you know, it also in a way sets the tone.
This whole discourse in the public space, which has become a Rahul Gandhi versus Narendra Modi, do you think that's the form of election that we are going to see in 2014? Will it be a personality clash?
Well, I don't think any personality has been able to dominate the Indian political space after, I think, Jawaharlal Nehru or Indira Gandhi, and to some extent Rajiv Gandhi. I don't think a national election, even Vajpayee ji, with all his stature and with 24 parties in a coalition right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, did get about 180 seats. So I don't think that one personality, because we are not in a presidential form of government.
Will you be able to do business with Rahul Gandhi as the leader of the UPA? Has there been any discussion within the alliance partners on how they're going to look at this entire generational change?
We are the longest standing ally of the Congress. We've been with them in 1999 in Maharashtra and continuing till today. 10 years almost now into the UPA in Delhi. So I don't think, you know, the issues of Congress and NCP being able to work together are so complex. Yes, there are.
You had problems last July. You stopped attending cabinet meetings. Sharad Pawar and you both did not go for at least a couple of cabinet meetings, and you said there were problems in the Congress party looking at its alliance partners. So there have been real problems between the two.
Well, there have been problems. I cannot say that there haven't been, but they have not been, you see, mishandled, or they've not gone to a point where, you know, we've got a breaking point. Well, if the next generation comes, so will we also having a next generational shift. People like me or Supriya Sule or Ajit Pawar are also the next generation of the NCP. So I don't think...
That's a very interesting point, the generational shift within the NCP. Who's going to take over the baton from Sharad Pawar? Will it be the family, Ajit Pawar, the nephew, or Supriya Sule, the daughter? Or will it really be somebody like you who's been virtually a number 2 on the Delhi scene with Sharad Pawar all these years?
I don't think we need to think too much about the leadership of the NCP.
It's an important point.
No,
people who are looking at you as a political entity have the right to know.
No, of course, you're right. But at the same time, I'm being very honest that Mr. Sharad Pawar is certainly going to lead the NCP as the head of the family for a long time.
But he's not contesting the next Lok Sabha elections. He said that.
He will be in the Rajya Sabha before the Lok Sabha elections are over. He will be coming to the Rajya Sabha in March of 2014, which he has already stated that he's not leaving parliamentary politics. He's not leaving politics. He's going to continue to head the NCP.
Why are you flirting with the third front? One meeting of the third front in the capital, and suddenly the NCP has a foot in the door, virtually looking for an entry. Isn't that flirtation giving people the impression that all's not well within the UPA?
See, NCP as a political party has every right to establish itself, to grow in the country, and that we will continue to do so.
While you are a part of the UPA, you are flirting with the third front. Why should people not think that NCP is being an opportunist party?
No, we are not opportunistic, but at the same time, as I said, we have every right to establish our credentials. The so-called meeting in Delhi, which was there and which we attended, was absolutely a well-meaning approach in terms of a anti-communal front which was being, in a way, presented before the nation. It was not a political munch. It was a meeting called by some well-meaning individuals, and of course
all so many political parties come together, yes, and it not be a political stage.
But what is the harm? We were dealing with whom? The left, which supported UPA 1 all the 5 years. The Mulayam
4
Singh
years.
party, yes, okay, 4 years. Mulayam Singh and Mayawati ji, who are supporting the Congress throughout this UPA 2 regime. We are talking to parties like ADMK or others which were certainly coming on a platform which is anti-communal. What is wrong with that?
But if the Congress is facing anti-incumbency in the run-up to 2014, then the third front is an option for the NCP?
You see, today these are all hypothetical situations. I'm sure there will be a government in place in 2014, and that government is certainly not going to be headed by the BJP. The certain fact is that yes, Congress and the UPA, we're working towards that, and we should work towards that and hope that we will win. And I'm sure that, as I said, 6 months is a long way.
But if not?
If not, these are all hypothetical situations.
But
there will be a
politics
government.
takes into account all hypothetical
But Navika,
situations.
there will be a government in the country, wouldn't it be?
There will be.
And I don't know.
But it could be the third front and you would be part of it?
Well, I see. These
Or
are,
a driving force behind it?
Certainly, why not look at a situation where we would like to see a Congress-led UPA government. That would be our first priority. There would be a government eventually in the country, and that government has to be, at least as far as our thinking is concerned, somewhere where the BJP does not have a participation. And if that be the case, then we will have to play our part meaningfully.
And how do you look at the elections of 2014?
Well, they're going to be very interesting. I can assure you that 2014 elections will not follow a pattern which has emerged all these years historically over the last 50 years. The time of one national party or two national parties only occupying full center stage is on the decline.